The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
Hello, Andy. I have a right to do that. It's a scary podcast we're doing today. I have a right to make a funny noise.
You always, yes.
You know, I have to say this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
Oh, God.
Second Breakfast viewers and listeners, new and old.
Oh, my
Andy
God.
loves horror movies.
Phil, I'm going to stop you there. You are correct.
Thank
Proceed.
you. I want to make...
Proceed.
I don't want to say anything that's not... I don't want to say anything that's verifiably false.
Right. I will dance right up to the edge and do pirouettes.
Right.
But
I'll do little dances around the truth all day long. I don't want to do anything that is verifiably false.
that's right. That will prevent me from running for office later.
Andy, do I have a reputation for enjoying horror films?
Phil, the way I'm going to answer that is this. Not yet.
Oh, well answered. Well
Thank you.
answered.
Thank you.
Andy and I, you guys might know this, Andy and I do a little podcast about movies called Second Breakfast. But the funny thing is, there's a big no way. There's a big gap in my transcript, which is that I really don't know horror movies very well. There's a big gap in Andy's transcript, by the way, which is basically like 80s movies that aren't like the obvious ones. Early 80s movies, there's a whole section of 80s movies that you're not.
I'm not.
Is that not true?
This is not
Maybe
a
that's
challenge.
not true.
This is not a
What's
challenge.
So what's the gap in... Maybe I'm thinking of someone else then. So then what would you consider your gap?
I was just thinking about this, and I was like, man, I haven't seen a lot of blank, and I can't remember what it was. It exists.
Westerns? There was some, we've had a conversation where it was like, there's a section of these I haven't seen.
Phil, we're getting off topic, and the topic is your shortcomings, not mine.
Okay, so. You're right. Well, minor legion. But in this case, I don't like horror movies. They're scary, and I don't like to be scared. What's your problem? So Andy decided that I need to be appropriately educated, to be appropriately schooled, if you will, on horror movies. Hence the title of this podcast today, this episode, and an ongoing series that Andy and I have been doing occasionally called Horror School, in which Andy instructs me on which movies to watch. And then I watch them as per Andy's request, regardless of whether I want to. In fact, whether I have any desire to see the movies that I watch is not remotely part of the equation. It might be part of the equation in the other way, where Andy goes, he's definitely not going to want to watch this.
That's not... that. I know. It's... Okay. Full disclosure, it's not that that's not true. It's just that's not part of the calculus. I know
you don't do that. Andy's... Look, teachers who teach trig... which is short for trigonometry. They don't go like, oh, the kids are really going to hate cosine. I can't wait to teach them those little jerks.
That's right.
But whether or not you like to deal with sine and cosine and all that stuff for tangents doesn't really matter to the trigonometry teacher. The trig teacher has to do what he has to do, or she has to do. Mm-hmm. So Andy has to teach me about horror, and how I feel about it is neither here nor there.
And how I feel about it is neither here nor there. It's true.
Listen, this is the curriculum.
So let's just, without rehashing, what are some of the movies I've had you watch? The Omen, I think.
The Omen?
Yes. The original, not the remake. Yeah. But that becomes important for today's episode.
Halloween,
that's right. Did we do American Werewolf in London?
We did do American Werewolf in London, which is a great... You guys should listen to that episode, because Andy had me watch American Werewolf in London, and I watched it while I was on jury duty, and I was using my computer or my phone in the courthouse, and I didn't realize that the movie just had tons of boobies.
There's so many boobs.
And it was really awkward.
Like a Russ Meyer film.
I either had the Kindle or I had something bigger than my phone, but I kept kind of like turning it to the side, or like, oh, I hope no one sees this.
Right. Were you wearing your?
I was wearing my collar. I was wearing my
awesome.
my.
I love everything that's happening.
It was very awkward.
Again, I don't give out these assignments. I don't give out these assignments.
And you can say watch it with your collar on jury.
Right.
That was That was my bad.
But that was a happy accident.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
yeah.
For me, that was a happy accident.
You had me watch The Ruins. You had me watch Recordar. Just a terrifying film.
It's just terrifying. If you're thinking to yourself, Second Breakfast Nation, you know what I've had too much of lately? Sleep.
Sleep.
Sleep. Or peaceful evenings. Or...
I haven't really jumped out of my skin and danced around in my bones in a while.
Right.
Maybe now's the time.
I've spent too few evenings in my abode not barricaded in.
Right.
Let me fix that.
You know what,
You
Andy?
should watch Rec.
Andy, you know what I really miss? Night terrors. So anyways, so Andy has had me. Oh, we did a double, and you know what? Let me bring us right up to today.
Okay.
Andy's last assignment for me for horror school, I believe it was a recent one anyway, was to watch the Dawn of the Dead original and the Dawn of the Dead remake.
It's true.
Andy is, as you know, a huge fan of zombies, and zombies are actually my bless you, Andy.
Thank you.
Are my entree into the horror genre in the sense that they're ones that I'm most apt to watch.
Sure.
Because of Andy, because of Zombie Palooza 2005?
Maybe?
You were in Queens.
That could have been later, though. I think it might have been later. I think it might have been 2006.
Very, very well could have been. Very well. Anyways.
Or even 7.
So it might have been. So anyways, Andy assigned me to watch the original and the remake of another George Romero film, and I use the film with a lot of consideration, called The Crazies. Now, a lot of you have probably heard of the movie The Crazies that came out a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. It had the man in it, Timothy Oliphant, as well as some other people.
Right.
But you may not have known that it was a remake of a George Romero pseudo-zombie movie.
It's true.
And so Andy had me watch those, and we're going to talk about them today.
That's right.
Andy,
compare, contrast, yes.
Take it away.
So The Crazies is, it's not a million miles removed from a zombie movie.
It isn't. It isn't.
But here is the one sentence synopsis for both movies.
Yeah.
Small town. People start going crazy, and all hell breaks loose. And it really isn't anything more than that.
It's like a John Mellencamp. It's basically like a 2-hour John Mellencamp song. Is that fair? That's probably not fair.
Not a ton of little pink houses in this movie, or in either movie really. But so it really is. You know, there really is like they go nuts and they go nuts in every way that someone can go nuts. There's the murderous rampage. There's the Ophelia picking daisies at the end of Hamlet before she drowns herself, like, oh, there's a daisy, that kind of crazy. And because it's based on because it was first a Romero movie and then a remake based on a Romero movie, a whole heaping helping of untrustworthy government officials. Stunningly, Romero comes down on the side of anti-government. I know.
Well, you're being ironic. I'm a little stunned. I don't understand liberals who are anti-government, unless you're an anarchist. I really don't get it.
Sure.
Because generally liberal politics lead to a larger governmental hand in society. But he and I don't mean that negatively. It's just kind of sort of but I mean George Romero's no libertarian, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Fair.
Not from what I can tell. Maybe he is. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. But he definitely has some issues with the government well, so where do you want to start? Like, what do you want to? You're the teacher here. I'm the apt pupil.
So let's start with. I mean, let's start with the setup. There's a main couple in both of these movies, and in the original, it's like a volunteer fireman and his live-in girlfriend. She's pregnant, so of course that adds some gravitas to it. And she's also the nurse for the town doctor. And in the remake, it's the town sheriff and his wife who is the town doctor. Yay, advancements in feminism over 30 years. 40 years, right? Ish. 1973, 2011 or 12. And it always, the opening scene of the original is, it's a guy who's like dancing in his house, and then you realize he's like burning his house down with his wife and who he's already killed, and his 2 kids inside. And the idea is this, like, sleepy little town, nothing happens here, and then all hell breaks loose.
Right.
And
it's like Mayberry. It's like if everything went bad in Mayberry. It's like if Mayberry went completely insane.
Yes. Here's, you know what? Here's where I want to start. The remake is better directed, better acted,
better
scripted,
yes,
better special effects,
yep,
better everything.
Oh, here comes the but.
But it also shines a beautiful light on all the things that have gone wrong in the horror genre since before now. I'll just put it there, because it's not like there continue to be good horror movies made, but there is something unsettling about the original that I just didn't. I have recently watched both movies. You have recently watched both movies. Both. Was it your first time watching each?
I had seen all of the new one except for the first. I turned the new one on about a half hour into it and watched the rest of it, believe it or not.
Okay.
I watched the scene where the guy comes into the room with a pitchfork from there on. Mm-hmm. Somehow. I don't know why there, but that's where it started.
Sure. Well, it's because when you came into the room.
And I'd never seen the original, which is like, it's really difficult to find.
That's true. That is true. So there is something that is unsettling about the original, and it just isn't unsettling in the new one, because how to put this? I'll put it in terms of zombie movies, okay? In every good zombie movie, literally every good zombie movie, there is not an exception that I am aware of.
All 3 of them.
Right. Or even every mediocre zombie movie. There is not an exception I'm aware of. There is not an exception I'm aware of. The bad guys really aren't the zombies, right? Mm-hmm. The bad guys aren't the zombies. The bad guys are something else, and the zombies can fit into that as a metaphor. But, for example, in Shaun of the Dead, the bad guy is not is not a zombie. The bad guy is Shaun's inertia. In the original, in the new Crazies, the bad guy, sure, the government did bad things and the soldiers.
But it's much more about the people going crazy. You have to get away from them.
Yes,
it's actually more about and it's not. Yeah, I mean, they're basically just become. There's no real dilemma when you're watching it. The first guy that gets killed.
Yep. He comes
huge dilemma.
Except
huge dilemma. No, I mean in the sense that
yes.
In the sense that Oliphant's character's
So the first guy to get killed, the first guy you see is a crazy. There's like a little league game going on, or a high school baseball game, not sure which. Young kids playing sports, and this guy walks out from the outfield fence, into the middle of the field, and Oliphant, as the sheriff, comes out and is like, all right, Jimmy, or whatever his name is, George, time to let's go off the field, basically. And the guy raises a gun, or he pulls out a gun, and so Oliphant pulls his gun, and then the guy raises his gun and points it at Oliphant, at the sheriff, and the sheriff has to shoot him. It's there's no way to. I agree with you, Phil. There's a dilemma in terms of oh my God, what's happening right now?
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Not
he has to shoot him.
Shooting. Yes.
Oh no, there's a dilemma, the age-old zombie dilemma. How could I kill this person that was my,
Right.
That's old Jim. They just killed old Jim. Like, that ain't right.
Right.
The rest of the movie, that does not happen. Like, every single person that they kill, they're like, well,
Yep.
had to kill that person.
Had to kill that person.
They become sort of like, there's no real sentimentality behind it at all.
But there's more. It's more than that. It's more than that. And this is the problem I have with the new one. As much as I enjoyed watching it, it's not just that there's no sentimentality. There's no moral gray area. And it's because in the remake, maybe I'm forgetting it, but the overwhelming majority, if not all, of the Crazies are crazy in a violent, murderous way.
That's correct, but I noticed.
And in the original, they are just as likely to just be spacey, but they'll go spacey right around murderous, evil soldiers, and they'll give away the people who are still healthy. They'll give away their position. Right.
That's a fair point.
Another thing, one of the final confrontations that the sheriff and his wife have is with the wife and son of that first guy that he kills.
That's right.
And and she's like, this is the man who, and she says it in a really sing-songy, creepy, crazy way. She's like, this is the man who killed your father. This is
right.
But the thing is, in the original movie, that wouldn't have happened because they're not. They are legitimately crazy. They're not.
They're zombified. In that sort of like.
As opposed to they're crazy as opposed to now we are evil, and I will not deny that it makes for a more enjoyable, exciting.
I understand what you're saying.
Movie
so what you're basically saying, what I hear you saying.
Yeah.
Please tell me if I'm. Yeah.
Phil, I will.
What's that?
I will. Don't. Whatever. I will tell you whatever you are. Go ahead.
The remake is a better movie in every way except for the ways that matter.
No. Thank you.
No, I mean it's a more entertaining movie.
Yeah.
It's a better made movie. It's a better acted movie. It's a better everything movie, except even as tedious and poorly acted and poorly staged and just awkwardly directed as the first one is.
100%.
The first one is just one, creepy.
Yep.
And two, and this is more important to me maybe even than you, the first one is actually about something.
Indeed.
What I mean is, I don't mean the second one's not about something. The second one has a plot.
Right.
But whereas the second one has a plot, the first one has a point.
Yeah.
That's all.
While I agree with everything you said, just to perfectly clarify, I hope, the second one is a better movie, full stop.
Right.
But the first one, you ready for me to be really pretentious? You ready for?
I mean, Andy. Of course I'm ready.
I know. Sega Breakfast Nation, you ready? The second one is a better movie. The remake's a better movie. The first one, in addition to just be it still has value, right? Which sounds weird because really in every every possible technical way, the second one, the remake, is better.
Right.
The first one still has value, and it is a more important movie. Boom. Pretension bomb dropped. Boom.
Here, the only reason you're wrong.
Tell me.
And there's really literally only one reason you're wrong.
I can't wait. I'm ready to be wrong.
It's not an important movie.
I'm not sure I disagree with that. If it
was an important movie, it'd be on DVD. It'd be findable on Blu-ray.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's fair.
It's
my only response to that is if I said it was an important movie, I misspoke. It's just a more important movie than the remake. Except insofar as I could watch Timothy Olyphant do anything. There's nothing important about the remake.
I think it's to use a phrase that has been used oft in the theaters lately. It's expendable.
It's true.
It is though.
Right.
It's expendable.
Right.
It didn't need to exist, and I don't think the original needed to exist either. But here's the interesting thing about Romero, right? And here's the interesting thing about what I think he tries to do. I mean, is that the Crazies is very similar to his zombie movies. It is a very, if Romero hadn't made this movie, whoever made it would have been sued by Romero for making a Romero movie without his permission.
That's true.
That's how much
That's
it
true.
felt like him, and it felt so to that degree. As much as you and I sort of will often be critical of Romero's skill, technical skill, he is an artist. Period.
Yep.
And it feels very much a piece with his art. It feels very much like, even if it's a minor Romero movie, it feels like a Romero movie.
Yes.
Whereas it doesn't matter who made the Crazies. It doesn't matter that the Crazies was made. If the two of them were on cable right now at the exact same time and I had to pick, I would totally watch the remake.
Sure. Me too.
And yet, I don't know, but here's the deal. And here's the thing, Andy. I don't know that it just isn't. It's just not good. The first one is not.
I'm not.
There's so many.
with you.
Dude, the weird like military drums all the time. It was like,
right.
oh god, like just bring anyone else in to score this.
It's like and the way that like the military and the military doctors talk to each other and to like the military phones and stuff. It's like middle school improv. It's like they'll pick it up and not wait for someone to start talking. Like, what do you mean that's happening? This needs to happen. Okay,
so true.
Click.
No, everything you're saying is true.
Yes, yes, but again, like, and again,
and again.
Just like I know that I'm, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say like I'm looking for internal logic in a movie called The Crazies, but on rewatch, that scene with the family that remembered this, that was it really bothered me. Like it bothered me.
It was. I remember watching it. I don't think it bothered me the way it bothered you, but I will say that I was like,
yeah,
like it gave me pause.
Right, and it was well done. It was scary. It was exciting. It was well staged, but it was like no, they like. It was honestly, it was kind of it was not to the same degree, but it was kind of the difference between Dawn of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead remake, because you didn't, there wasn't anything special. There were special things about the zombies in Dawn of the Dead original. You remember things like the Hare Krishna zombie, as silly as he looked. You remember the socialite woman with the pearls zombie, but.
Yeah, I hear you. I also feel like the original George Romero makes movies in places that actually feel like they exist.
Sure.
And the remake just felt, at least, well, I'll say that about I'll say that about Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and the Crazies, and even Day of the Dead, as terrible. It felt like a real place, which is a weird thing to say about that hokey, weird place, but it still felt like it was. Like he'd done research of a place that existed. Right. The Crazies felt like some Hollywood people were like, "We need to make a movie in the Middle America. Let's find every town USA." And by finding every town USA, they found no town.
Well said. And I think this isn't this just going off of that point. But it's a different point. The decision to start the way the two movies start. The original starts with you know what. They weren't great actors, but that relationship was believable to me. Like I believed that relationship. You're
right, absolutely. It does kill me.
Them in bed.
It kills me that George Romero didn't just get actual actors for his movies. Like I don't.
Agreed.
And he still doesn't. That's what's crazy. He made that one movie where he got like Dennis Hopper and
John Leguizamo and Simon Baker and Asia Argento.
And was it Ving Rhames?
No.
It was Michael Clark Duncan.
No.
I get them mixed up like every other white man.
It wasn't any of those people, I don't think.
Oh, I'm even worse now.
No, it was no. You mean Big Daddy, the main zombie, was not any of those people.
Oh God, did I tell you about my new job? I'm going to be a cop. I'm going to be a cop in Ferguson, Missouri. That's my new job.
Too bleeping soon.
I'm sorry, I was just being pointlessly white racist. It seemed like I'm going to be recruited tomorrow.
Second Breakfast Nation, if anyone would like to take Phil's place and as my new co-host, I am accepting.
You threaten that too often.
I haven't in a while, so I feel like it's gotten
true.
some of its power back.
It's true.
So moving swiftly past your...
I feel. I mean, my point is, I feel bad about what an idiot I am.
Sure, I feel bad about what an idiot you are too.
Okay.
I say that with love.
Glad
But let's
that we
let's
had
look
this
at but let's look at the
conversation.
difference. Let's look at the difference, right? First movie, believable scene, kind of adorable. Like it's these two people who are clearly in love. They're flirting and talking and just being
And it's the 70s,
people,
so there's just random nudity.
right? Right, but there's also but that also worked too, because it's clear like they're not self-conscious around each other. That like everything is normal, right?
Yeah,
It, like
no, you're right.
and that's the point. It starts from a place of normalcy. How does the remake start? It starts with burned out Main Street anywhere slash, as you so well as you put it so aptly, anywhere slash nowhere USA.
Yep.
Cars on fire, random crap burning in the street, smoke filling the air, and then it moves back to 2 days earlier.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? We'll
Just
follow you. It's like
just trust us.
yeah. Well,
I was watching something recently, and they did a flashback, and I was like, you know what? It was only an hour and a half ago. I got it. You don't need to remind me. We're good. We're good. We are good.
yes. The other thing I want to say, and I want your take on it, because this is part of the way I sold these movies to you. I want to talk about the two endings, because the ending of the remake, while perfectly serviceable for the movie that it ends, is indicative of, if not laziness, at least a lack of true creativity. And
Oh, I'll give you that.
and the ending of the original might be the darkest ending of any of Romero's
Why do you
movies.
think that?
Folks, obviously we're about to talk about
We're
spoilers.
gonna spoil it.
Yeah. Because the entire movie is spent trying to find a human that is immune. And because of the fact that this guy feels like the system, the man, the machine, the military-industrial medicinal complex killed his woman, right? He is immune, and he lets himself be killed rather than speak up and say, I am immune, use my blood. That is some dark, dark stuff.
Because he's saying humanity's not even worth it.
Yeah.
Um,
Screw you and all of us on the way to all of our graves.
it's a fair point.
Right?
I think, honestly, by that point, I had so emotionally checked out that I'm not sure I realized that that's what happened. That's
Sure.
pretty dark.
Sure.
That's pretty dark. That's pretty dark.
Because it ends with like one of the soldiers being like, and it's clear in both movies, it becomes clear pretty quickly that like the quarantine is just, let's take them somewhere before we just killed all of them.
Right.
And he is captured very, very late in the movie, and the military is pulling out because after this tiny little town, all of a sudden there's an outbreak of this stuff in Louisville, and boom, and the circle gets wider, and the cities that are being affected get larger, and all of that stuff. And one of the soldiers turns to the main doctor, and he's like, do you want us to test him for immunity? And the doctor's like, what are you, crazy? Come on, let's just get over it. Let's get it over with. And our hero like looks at the conversation that's happening, and he has this smirk on his face. And he doesn't say anything, and he lets them take him away. Now, and this I actually just thought of, the way to frame the remake version as dark is you're left with functionally two survivors. You're left with the sheriff and his wife. They get out of the town
as it's being nuked.
as it's being nuked, and they walk towards Des Moines, which is because
And as the credits are rolling, they basically target Des Moines next. Like the town they're going to is about to get quarantined the exact same way.
Indeed. And the way to frame it as dark is they might both be immune, which means the situation is under control and nothing bad has to happen to Des Moines.
Right.
But it's not done in as sly or as slick a way, which is weird because Romero's never slick. like even at his best, I wouldn't call him slick.
I just wish that whoever had done the music for the remake could go back and do the music for the original, and I think I think the movie would be. I really think it's a big deal. I think music
I don't
makes.
disagree with you.
But anyways,
I don't disagree
Andy,
with you.
Andy, let's talk about scariness.
Okay.
Thoughts?
Yes, the remake has some creepy moments. Mostly it is boo scares as opposed to mood.
Okay, can I say this is one of those movies, guys? You know that movies where it's like right when someone's about to stab you, like right when they're about to stab you, and there's no hope for you whatsoever. Out of nowhere, you hear a gunshot, and the person dies, and then you see, and then off camera, you like it pans over, and you see someone that got in just in time.
Mm-hmm.
That happens like 7 times in this movie.
It's true.
I'm like, it's done. I mean, to the point where I was like, oh, someone's coming after them. They're going to get shot from off camera. Got it.
Although one of those scenes was, I think, the best scene in the movie, or the scariest scene in the movie, and that is Timothy Oliphant in the coroner's office. That was just a really effective in every
wonderfully
way.
done.
Yes.
There were great scares in this movie. That being said, this was a really great horror school assignment. Because it didn't really feel like I was watching horror movies.
It's much more of like an action thriller. It really is.
Yeah, it's a gory action thriller.
Yes.
Gory and dark.
Yes. The original, even though all the blood is like Crayola red paint.
It is literally like kids. Remember tempura? Remember when we were kids, tempura paint?
Yep.
That's what it, and like the teacher would like it out like that red. That's exactly what the blood looks like in these movies. Not kidding.
And yet, there are fewer boo scares, but that's because a lot of the crazies they run into are like dancing like it's prom night in the middle of the day on a hillside, and not all of the crazies are trying to kill people.
Yeah.
But in terms of atmosphere, it's so hard to quantify, but that's something that Romero is really good at. And I think that's something to do with what you said. Like, he makes movies that feel like they exist in an actual place.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere of the original it's really effective. It is creepy. It is horrific.
Yeah.
For all of the movies,
I think you know what? So I think this is the thing. George Romero.
Yes.
Believes that humanity is horrific.
Yes.
And you know how I know? Because I've seen his movies.
Yeah. Yes.
I've literally never read an interview with him.
Yep.
I've never read one interview with him.
Sure.
I keep thinking when I think of what he looks like, I keep end up thinking about Stan Lee. So I don't even remember if I know what he looks like.
They don't look a million miles removed from each other.
But not enough that. I mean, if the two were standing next to each other, I'd be like, "Oh, that's Stan Lee, so that must be George Romero."
Indeed.
But other than that,
yes, that's true.
So I don't. So my point is, it goes back to my other point. This movie, one movie may have a plot, but the other one had a point. In George Romero's movies, you can tell George Romero believes that humanity is horrific, and so his movies are horrific. His movies just make you feel crappy about being a person.
It's true.
Which is not a critique of his movies, actually.
No.
And really, the Crazies is the remake is more of like a. Will these two people survive this labyrinth of crazy evil?
Yes. Whereas
and the answer is, of course, that they will, because come on.
Yeah, but then the first one, it's like, man, whether they survive or not, we're all doomed. You know, like we're all doomed now, or we're doomed later. But we are all doomed.
Because of who we are, we're doomed.
Yes. Well,
that's hard to watch. I remember the first time I saw Dr. Strangelove, and I laughed so hard when I watched that movie, and then it ended, and I was shaken to my soul.
Yep.
And I'm not kidding.
Yep.
Like I was just like,
Yes.
like
And I would never.
That's a man who understands comedy and horror.
I would never compare the least of Stanley Kubrick to the best of Romero, but that is something that, well, maybe Dawn of the Dead.
Well, they're artists. They're artists in their own right. I mean, one may be a schlock artist, but it's art.
Yeah, that's right. That well said. That is something that the original of the Crazies aspires to, and in its best moments succeeds. And I'm thinking specifically of the ending, of course. And the remake never even attempts. Like, not really. If I can just pile on the remake for a second,
go for it.
The girl who dies in the car wash, that death made no sense to me, because she gets.
Let's be clear. The car wash thing makes no sense. What are they doing?
It's true. It's
in a
true.
car wash.
That's right. What am I going to do with a gun rack?
With a gun rack.
So she gets like wrapped around her neck and pulled out the back, but it's not so jarring that it would have snapped her neck.
Nope.
It's just like she just gets like she gets hung up and the car moves without her, but they get to her.
Someone turn around and go get her.
And they do. It's not long enough for her to strangle.
Nope.
And her neck. How is she dead? How is she? That was the other moment, and it happens like within 5 minutes of that scene with the family of the first guy, and I was like, "Come on, guys, just a little bit of thinking.
Give it just try."
Okay? We'll say this. Always,
I wanted the math teacher from Stand and Deliver to show up and just say, "Gunnar, Gunnar." That's what I want to say to those people in that movie.
What's
you
amazing?
should just be standing there on the side. Gunnar.
What's amazing is you just invoked Edward James Olmos completely validly, and you haven't seen Battlestar Galactica.
I know.
I will say this: it's always nice to see Glenn Morshower getting work.
Which one is he?
He's the guy that tells them about Trixie, in the army guy who. He's Landry Clark's dad.
Yes, thank you. That's all I needed to hear. He's that, and he's the best Secret Service agent on 24.
So true, Aaron, right? Yeah,
Aaron. Thank you. Oh,
welcome. Yes.
I think for being Aaron, the Secret Service agent on 24, he goes in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
For being Landry Clark's dad, he goes into the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
This guy, ladies and gentlemen, is a 2-time Hall of Famer, and they put him in this movie for like 30 seconds.
That's right.
And he kills it in that 30 seconds.
He does.
Because here's what this guy does. What's his name in real life?
Glenn Morshower.
I love that you know this stuff. Glenn Morshower?
Yes.
That's his name?
Yes. No E. Okay. No E in more. M-O-R shower. Yes.
Morshower.
Yes.
Nevertheless.
Shower. I don't. It could be like more shower.
Anyways, so Glenn Morshower. Glenn. Let's just go with Glenn. Glenn is a consummate professional.
Indeed.
He's one of those guys that if he's in something, my wife and I are like, yeah!
Totally. He's a that guy.
He's a consummate that guy. He is a, like, here's what I'm saying. Glenn can't necessarily make your movie good, but he can make it better.
That's right. Like, and you know who I also loved, and we didn't really get we sort of got an analog character in the original, but I loved the deputy, Joe Anderson. I thought he was great.
Interesting, yeah.
Really good. And you might not remember him, but he was one of, shall we say, the early dropouts of the cast of The Grey.
I need to see The Grey again.
You did.
You know, I've only seen it once. I saw it in the theater.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, what?
I only have so much of a soul left.
That's true. There's only so much. I mean,
I watched The Grey and then Warrior and then just sat huddled in a ball waiting for my God to rescue me.
That's totally
actually fair. I think when you sit in a ball huddled after watching The Grey, it's Warrior that will pull you out.
Well said.
One of the most uplifting movies ever. We're now way off topic. Andy, do you have anything else that you want to say? Do you have anything else that you want to say?
I don't want to let you go. I don't want to dismiss class without giving you your next assignment.
I was hoping I'd get away with it.
Nope.
All right, will there be extra credit for this?
No. Don't do the Urkel. You can't.
Okay. That was visual. Visual.
No, but I'm good. I think let's be honest. We've wrung everything we can out of both of these movies, I think.
Okay, so tell me now what my assignment is.
So the next one, we're leaving our friendly shores. We're going west to the Far East, to
God.
Korea.
I'm not. Nope. Nope.
No, you're good. You're good.
I've seen Korean not horror movies. And they are terrifying.
Right. This
Like
one,
Old Boy
Oh, right. Yes.
is so creepy.
This
Okay.
one you will be glad to know. You may not believe that you're glad to know it because you might not trust me, but I promise I have your best interest at heart. For folks listening instead of watching us, he just made a face that he doesn't trust me, but it's okay.
Nope.
There is a movie. It is a monster movie called The Host. It is not.
Is this based on the Stephanie Meyer novel?
Only 1,000% no. Only 1,000% no.
Andy, that's my favorite percent no.
I know, right? Right?
Yeah.
It could not be less based on the Twilight author's other book.
Thank you.
It is, and you will be glad to know. What I hope you'll be glad to know it's a good movie. It's a really good movie. You hopefully will also be glad to know it is a horror comedy.
I am glad to know that.
It is a horror comedy, and it is honestly, it's one of the best. Like I don't know that I'd put it up there with American Werewolf in London and Shaun of the Dead, but it's the equal or better of, say, like Fido.
Andy, I'm not gonna say that you've got me excited about this, but I'm not gonna say it.
Fantastic. Well, you waffle in your Schrodinger's cat area of both not being excited and not being excited, and
Will do.
I think we're done. Are we done?
I think so.
All right.
I think so.
Well,
Thank you
folks-
for making me watch that terrible thing.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Here is that it? Did that bit?
Folks, this will bring us to the end of another Horror School and another Second Breakfast podcast. For Phil Duvall, I am Andy Roth. We are Second Breakfast. We will see you again real soon. Class dismissed.